Welcome to the Fuel Podcast, where we explore the foundations under extraordinary lives.
The Fuel Podcast is sponsored by the Christopher Swartz team at First Choice Mortgage Advisors. NMLS ID 106583. If you're looking to purchase or refinance your mortgage, make the Christopher Swartz team at First Choice Mortgage your first choice.
And now, here is your host, Chris Swartz.
What's up, everybody? It's your host, Chris Swartz, and we are here today at Fuel with our guest, Tom Toole. Tom, how you doing?
What's up, Chris? Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you. So Tom comes to us. He is the founder of the Tom Toole Sales Group, the team lead at RE/MAX Mainline, and we're happy to have him here today. Tom does, a lot of great things. He's got, one of the biggest teams in the area. I know you have some pretty nice accolades. I think you guys were number one in the PA and Delaware market.
Yeah, we were number one in Pennsylvania and Delaware last year for teams. We were top 50 in the country with RE/MAX International, but we're just doing our job. That's what we believe in, kind of like Bill Belichick.
Nice. So you're definitely doing your job. I mean, I think if you're, at least in our market, for those of us listening here, we're in the Philadelphia metro market. You definitely see some of those RE/MAX signs with Tom's name on it. I know I saw a couple on my street earlier in the year. So
that's thanks to your assist, which is still very appreciative. But that helped. That was super competitive.
Nice. And awesome, man. We're really happy to have you here as a guest today. And what we want to do is to talk about the things that you do that allow you to be the number one, team in the Pennsylvania and Delaware region, the top 50 in the country, because that doesn't happen overnight. And, a lot of times there's a story that goes behind that. And sometimes that story goes back to, things that we did as kids or training or coaching. So we're just really kind of diving in and talking about different things that you do in your business that our listeners can maybe tap into to take their business or even their life to the next level.
Sure. So I got into real estate. I was 19 when I got licensed. My father had done it for, at that point, I guess like 30-some years. I don't even know. I mean, he's a real estate lifer. And growing up, having a dad as an agent versus what an agent's job looks like now are two very different things. I mean, we're really lucky with all the technology we have. I'm sure you're seeing this in your line of work as well, where he's going out meeting people every day, like having to sign like carbon copy contracts, pressing hard 3 times. There was a lot of FaceTime there, and it was tough. I mean, it was a bigger grind than it is now. I don't think there's any question about that. So when I started right out of college, started selling real estate. I sold a few homes when I was home for the summer one year, and we, things were going well. And then I saw business kind of plateau, and this coincided right when the market crashed in 2008, which is like great. Yeah. So the world is ending, car companies are failing. So I had to kind of make a decision of where I wanted to go next. Like how am I going to get over this plateau? Because like a plateau wouldn't work for me. I mean, I didn't want to be one of these people just doing the same thing every day of their life for the rest of their life. That wasn't where my ambitions were. That's not where my goals were. So I got into training, got into coaching, really started working on my business and becoming a lot more strategic, trying to be diversified in our lead pillars. I mean, at the time, all our business came from like the people we know, our sphere of influence, whatever you want to call it. So I started working expired listings really aggressively because I'm thinking, well, the market just crashed. Like not just the real estate market, all the markets,
yeah,
right? Like it was a bad
markets.
time. And who are the most motivated people? Who are the people that really need the most help? And when I say help, I really mean that. That's one of the core values that our team is service. And I fundamentally believe, and I'm sure you see this too, that in our line of work, I mean, realtors have an 87% failure rate. So those people shouldn't be out there. They don't know what they're doing. They're selling a couple homes a year, and I believe people really need help when they're trying to make these decisions. Like fundamentally, like the right advice, the right strategy. Maybe they don't like what I have to say, and it's also going to help them. So you have to kind of embrace that. And people whose homes didn't sell, well, they really wanted to sell because they hired an agent already,
right,
and they just didn't. It wasn't the right one, or they got bad advice, or whatever. So that was really a tipping point when I started really working those sort of opportunities aggressively to help those folks, and that's changed my business. I mean, if I can point to one thing, that would definitely be it.
Oh, now nice. So now how is that different because kind of seeing your father come up and do the old school real estate, was there part of you that had to make a transition to think, okay, well, because I'm sure he was a mentor for you in some
100%.
regard, but to not be able to execute the same tactics and to kind of have to reinvent yourself in this new market at post-crash, how was that transition for you? I mean, was that easy to do?
No, I mean, it was hard. I mean, you said it's like everyone thinks there's these overnight successes because people come out of nowhere, and the reality is they're like 19, 20 years in the making, and there's a bunch of hard work that nobody sees, and then someone bursts on the scene, and they think, wow, where'd this guy come from? And they see
rock star.
They didn't see they were grinding it out for 15, 20 years before that or whatever it was, so it wasn't easy. I mean, and that's we're in an interesting time right now because there's all this talk of a recession coming, and the market's changing a little bit. And to be clear, home prices, they've only gone down twice out of the past 5 recessions. Once was because of the market crash in 2008. The other, they only went down 1.9%. So prices went up the other 3 times or stayed pretty stable 4 out of the 5. So what I found was I had to work on my skills, meaning knowing what to say, working on my presentation, asking the right questions, and really dialing down into that, because if I didn't do that, then I was doing the people I'm working with a disservice. Instead of just saying, hey, let's sign here, let's move ahead, it's, well, what's the plan B if your home doesn't sell? Where were you looking to move to? What's going, find out why they're moving, because if they're serious, and sometimes people, that was an interesting time too, because the listing contract changed. And a lot of people don't remember this in Pennsylvania, where before there was a listing contract and it was only like 5 pages long. Now it's 6, and they have you disclose all the liens on the property. And you know why that happened? Because people were short on their mortgages. That never happened before. Short sales weren't even like a thing then. And people they were kind of embarrassed about what was going on. And really, we needed to know what they owed so we could see what kind of sale to help them with. So that was a major change in the market at the time. And not that we did a lot of short sales of that sort of business. Rather, we wanted to get clear and get honest with them so we could help them. Because the more they shared with us, the more we could actually help them get out of that situation or get where they wanted to go.
Right. So, and that's kind of one of the things, when we met that I picked up right away was, being, in the business on the mortgage side, you see a lot of real estate agents and professionals that just, they kind of go through the motions without a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed right away, my partner, Ken Pitts, at First Choice, he introduced us, and as soon as I walked in the office, it was like, you knew the numbers, you had the data, you had everything down. And when we walked out of that meeting, I said, Ken, wow, he really runs a business here. How about that? And it just, you can really just get a sense of that when you sit down and when you work with your team. And that's definitely, like you said, it didn't happen overnight. And I'm sure you invest a lot in your coaching and stuff. And I know you got some pretty cool stuff that you're doing now. If you want to kind of tell us about that.
Yeah. So, we're definitely big on coaching. We're real big advocates. We coach with Tom Ferry's company. And we're really lucky to do that because, he's always about like testing and seeing what new stuff is going on and how to market differently to people. So there's like the tried and true methods, like you see like the just sold postcards that go out, or like the thing that every realtor has done forever. And that's about 80% of the marketing. And what we're trying to do is we know what works, but we also want to test things. So we're doing a lot of content marketing. We have a weekly show that comes out that's like a Did You Know, meaning what happens when your home doesn't appraise? You got to deal with that. A lot of people don't know what to do. They're like, okay, now what?
Right.
How does in-home inspection work? What does deposit money in default mean? All these things that need to get explained a little more. We just put that information out there to people that are working with us, our past clients, or people that we've come in contact with over the years. We're also doing stuff to help agents, because I find that agent education, there's like the 10% or the 5% that actually like believe in themselves and coach and invest, and then there's everybody else who just runs their business by default or doesn't even run a business. To your point, so we're using techniques we've used to help convert business and ask the right questions, and we're putting it out there for the agents in our marketplace to learn from, because again, service is one of our core values. It just doesn't mean your clients. It means everybody else. And you talked about planning. Business planning is a huge gap with realtors and what you're doing as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't know what there's no plan. It's let's see what happens this year. Hopefully I'll be up from last year. And that's one of the areas where I've reached out to the local board about this. I've talked to some of the real estate schools and about, hey, can I come in and just give a free business planning? tutorial for new agents, because these guys, like they're getting thrown to the wolves, guys and gals. They're getting thrown to the wolves. They don't have a plan. They don't know what to do. Unfortunately, there's the real estate commission's got some kind of overly strict laws. I'm just trying to help. So that's something we're looking about doing independently. And we talked about it before the show here, to help agents in our community get better and be more well-informed so they can help their clients, because there's, I'm a big believer in that there's enough business out there for everybody.
Sure.
That it's not like one person has to do it all. That would be impossible. We're in like the 6th largest metro market in the country.
Yep.
So when you kind of flip your mindset on that and actually like come from a place of service and help, whether it's your clients but also your peers in the industry, that makes a big difference. So that's kind of a short version of all the stuff we're doing.
Nice. Yeah. And, how many agents now do you have on the team?
So we've got 11 on the team right now, plus myself. And we'll sell right around 300 homes this year. And 4 of them have joined in the past 60, 90 days. So we're getting there. I mean, we're also looking to help those people too, because being an independent agent right now, I mean, that's a hard job. I mean,
sure.
When you're competing with all the things that are going on in a transaction, you've got to do all the deal management yourself. You got to do all your own marketing. You have to maybe do the home staging. You've got to do your own
the photographer.
Well,
we were just talking about that, right?
Anyone that does their own photography, if you're listening to this, you should fire that agent right now, because it's probably like iPhone photos. But the point is, there's all these moving parts, and you can't really be good at the one thing that's most important, which is helping people buy and sell real estate. Like, that's the fundamental job, and all the other stuff, I mean, that's where you can staff up and delegate a little more, and that's the way business is going in 2020. It's all about scale and leverage.
Sure. And as you're bringing people in, I like that you're building them up. You have
100%.
a lot of systems, and like I said, you invest in yourself in training, and you share that with your team, and that in just so many areas I see, and kind of shift gears a little bit. I mean, one of the things that you do in business is some people get hyper focused and they're just all business, and we got to make money, we got to close deals. But what I like when I meet someone is to see that kind of rounded, blend of, business and helping people, and having, also just, how you present yourself and take care of yourself. And that really shows discipline in all areas of your life. And I know that's kind of how we've been having some fun.
Yes.
To shift gears, and we'll give a little plug out to Peloton, I guess.
Well, it's Tabata Tuesdays with Allie Love is what happened. So I guess how that started was I was at a coaching event in New York, and I've done this a number of times and we meet up there with our mastermind group and some other people that I connect with. So we'll go to the Peloton studio, and I've got a bike at home. I literally ride like every day. I mean, pretty much. I think my brother-in-law got married this past weekend on Saturday, so I didn't ride on Saturday. That was like the first time in like 2 months.
Yeah, you definitely have to beat.
I probably could have, but we had to stay at the venue. So, and like went to the studio. You saw like a picture on social somewhere. I think it was Instagram or Facebook, and you're like, "Hey, how did you do that?" And I'm like, "I went to the studio, man." And you're like, "No way." And then I said, "Hey, let's do this ride tomorrow." And it's like literally the best workout of the week. I mean, I think it's great that it's on a Tuesday. I find that's actually a really important day, because sometimes like you're coming off the weekend, and not that I'm like a weekend warrior in the sense that most people look at it. Rather, it's sometimes I work out hard over the weekend. Monday I'm kind of getting but like Tuesday you're back in the flow.
Right.
And it's a great day to have a really hard workout, and then you can maybe have another hard workout again on like Thursday. And then you have to have your own schedule, but I love that it's a Tuesday, because Mondays, like, you might be away for the weekend. You might not be in the office. You might not be home. And I think we did it, like the whole month of October?
Yeah. Boss October.
Boss October. Boss October was awesome. And, I mean, but, like, that's investing in yourself. That's exactly what you're talking about. And I find that if you're not investing in your health and vitality right now, I mean, that's a misstep, because people are going to be older. They're going to live to be old. I mean, it's already happening.
Sure.
Do you ever follow Peter Diamandis? So he's got a book called Bold. And actually, I got the chance to see him speak a couple years ago. And he's talking about flying cars and like Uber Air and all this stuff. And everyone thinks this is like way far off. It's not. Like, it's going to be happening a lot sooner than you think. I mean, even look at the way like the iPhone changed with the new upgrade. Like, it's all of a sudden like you're in your car, you hit a button. Hey, take me here. Call this person. Do all that. That was like Back to the Future stuff when we were kids, and Back to the Future 2 came out. And people thought there'd be all these like weird looking buildings around. So that part hasn't happened.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for my hoverboard.
Yeah, well, they made them. They were just unsafe, right? So the world is rapidly changing. I mean, they have self-driving cars now. They're still testing them. So all of a sudden, they're a lot of. I mean, the world's changing rapidly, and people are living longer because of all the technology going on. So if you're not taking care of yourself, like your body's going to break down faster. My grandmother, she passed away this year. She lived to 102. That was like unheard of. But now it's a little more common than it used to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a different generation. And so that's a great example. But if you're not investing in your health and vitality or investing in yourself, like that's going to show up other places.
Right. Yeah. And I think that ends up translating into your business, right? The discipline that you have to just show up for yourself. And that is so important. And, a lot of people say, hey, if you don't take care of yourself, right, you can't help anyone around you, right? Just kind of goes to the airplane when you're sitting on the airplane, right?
Yeah.
It's like when the oxygen mask drops down, secure your mask first. And that's what I love too about the morning workout. For me, that's a sacred time. You can really, especially if you start early enough. I know, Tom, you do the 5 a.m. call.
I got a good tie in here in a second, but keep going.
Yeah. So when you start early enough and you control the day before the day controls you, you can get these things done. And I would find myself struggling to work out and do that. Oh, I'm going to do it after work. Well, work kicks my ass, and then you have your family and the kids coming home and you want to be with them, your wife and spouse or whatever, and it's like all of a sudden that getting on that bike seems a lot harder than it does at 5, 6 in the morning when everything's quiet. And, for me, that's just a game changer. So to start the day like that, it translates into so many other things throughout the day. Well,
what you're doing is you're being selfish in the morning to be selfless the rest of the day. And my
Well
buddy
said.
Byron Lazine, who runs he's like I moderate the call. He kind of founded it. And he says that every time he gets on the call when he moderates, because you're getting up. Like I know my morning routine is I get up, I get on the call. Like that, the call is like you don't have to get up at 5. Like it's on. You could listen to it at 5:30. It doesn't matter. The point is you get up to be on there. It's like the routine, and then I usually get like my business ready for the day. Meaning I get like my call sheets together, or I work on the stuff that I know I'm not going to be able to get done later, where people are going to be interrupting me, or I have appointments or whatever else. And you're in the same boat, I'm sure. So you get to work on the business in the morning,
Right.
And I usually work out, and then you feel so much better after you work out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's. No matter what the workout is, it doesn't have to be Peloton. It's just do something, and
right, just get moving.
Well, then you have more energy later in the day too. I mean, because when you're in better shape, your body responds differently, and it really changes everything. Because when you get home, like you said, you want to be selfless, not selfish. You want to go see your kids. My kids go to bed. I mean, you got young kids. Mine are a little younger than yours. Like my daughter goes to bed at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. So if I got a late appointment, sometimes I don't get to see her, which sucks. And when I get home, I want to be able to do that, or at least put her to bed, or read her a story or something. Hang out with your wife, your spouse, your partner, whatever. So that stuff's important, and it's not prioritized enough, especially in the sales sort of businesses or in the real estate industry. And we can group mortgage and all the other things in there. So it's but it sets up the day so you can be selfless later for the right reasons, instead of like, hey, I got to get a workout in. Sorry, pal, I can't hang out with you right now. Like,
yeah,
and that probably makes you feel like crap anyway when you say that. So. It's a really good point.
Yeah. So, it's definitely something that you want to build into your routine. And I think the common thread with, the people that I see that are successful is, they really balance out all the different areas of their life. And we've talked about this on other episodes. It's kind of, you can't be all in on your business and like, leave your family in the dust, or be all in on, one area of your life. Mm-hmm. It's really balancing out those different areas. And that's, what we see with the most successful people and most of the common thread. The awesome thing about sitting down with people here on Fuel is no matter what the story, there's always these common threads that people have. So thanks so much for sharing a little bit about your story and what you're doing. So I think now we'll do a little rapid fire. So
all right, go for it.
This is what we do at the end of the show. Just a little fun exercise, and so we'll hit you with rapid fire, and you're stuck on an island.
Okay.
And first question, and we're going to throw the disclaimer out there as we always do. We're going to assume that your family and your loved ones and kids and everybody that you care about would would somehow be there or be able to come and go.
Okay,
so,
good.
So
All
they're,
right. Well,
so they're there.
yeah.
You don't have to. You don't want to upset anybody. You know,
It
pick
would
one
also
kid
ruin
or,
the answers. Like, it wouldn't be that fun if you're like leaving that one there because everyone's going to say that.
Right. You can't. Yeah. You know, and then you pick. So, who you taking with you?
So I got my family and.
Yeah, everybody.
They're there?
Yeah, they're there. So you get one person, and it could be somebody fun, somebody inspirational. We've just anything.
Taking one person. So I'd probably take someone entertaining. So I would think of like some of the comedians that are out there, and the one that really jumps out at me right now more than anybody is probably Howard Stern, because the guy's going to be a riot the entire time.
Nice.
He's going to keep us entertained. He's going to be making like fart jokes. Like, it'll be great. So
Keep your mind off of
well,
it.
you got to have something to do while you're there. So I mean, he's probably I listen to him pretty much every day, and that would be the person I would take for sure.
Nice.
Knowing that the family's there.
Okay. Second question: book. What's a book that's had some influence that you'd want to share with our listeners?
The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F. It's by Mark Manson. That's not the name of the book, but I don't know how.
No, that's all right.
don't know what your
we can
podcast
throw it out there. We're not PJ here.
Well, okay, so it's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. That's the book. And it may sound like raunchy and crude, but when you read it, it's really inspiring because it tells you about prioritizing your time and what you actually are going to get worked up about. Because in today's world, people get worked up about some dumb stuff.
Yeah, especially social media.
Well, I mean,
It's crazy.
Well, there's so many distractions right now, and that book, it really helps you kind of get your head right in terms of what you need to be focusing on. And you talked about balance earlier.
Right.
I'm a big believer in counterbalance, where sometimes you have to go hard one way, and then you have to kind of go hard the other to make up for it and let the people know. So that book really, that's one that if you're struggling with what's working you up, definitely read that.
Awesome. All right, and the last one's just a fun one. What food are you taking with you? What's your one snack, one guilty pleasure?
So you're on the island, so you got to figure there's probably like some fruits and vegetables out there. So I would imagine you probably want some sort of like protein. So I would maybe say like a chicken would be something you could probably like if you can you can make that a couple different ways. Like I'm just thinking about how to like sustain it because you got to really think forward here. If that's all you're having,
Nice.
there's probably gonna be some bananas. You can get some greens there, that sort of thing. You can probably fish on the island. Chicken's probably the way to go. I mean, just to be sustainable.
I mean, I was thinking like a cheesesteak or something.
Yeah, but then also the chicken can lay some eggs, right? I mean, I'm thinking long term here.
Yeah, see that's that productive mindset.
I don't know. I'm just trying to think survival mode at that point. So
nice. All right, awesome. Well, as we wrap up here today, I mean, if we want to learn more about what you're doing, what your team's doing, how do we find you?
So a great way to connect with me is Instagram. So the handle's at TomToole3rd. So at TomToole with an E 3RD. That's the best way to get in touch with me. Direct message. We put a lot of our content out there. That's easily the best way to get in touch.
Awesome. All right. Well, last, if you're listening, you got some value out of this. We really appreciate it if you like the podcast, share it on social, give us a 5-star rating on iTunes, and that's a wrap. We're out. Thanks, Tom.
You got it.